Welcome back to another week of transit reports in human design. I am Coach Diamond Drip, and I'm excited to dive into what we have going on in the energy ecosystem right now. As a reminder, I go live every new transit. I would say every week, but sometimes it's twice a week, depending on what the planets are doing up there as they move and shift and shake. But I go live with each transit that we have in order for you to be equipped with the information I feel as though is necessary to navigate the different frequencies and energies that are showing up in other people, but are also showing up in you. This week in our sun gate, we have the gate of realization, and the earth is the gate of openness. And so, with the gate of realization, you may be under tremendous pressure to create concepts and explain past experiences. You may find yourself trying to arrange all of the pictures in your head and make sense of them the way an artist tries to put together pieces in a collage. If we're patient during this time, we can create something that's really uplifting out of what was once complete confusion. And yes, that's a nudge to the gate of confusion that is right above this gate that makes that channel. Of course, this patience piece is easier said than done. We all know that patience is a virtue. So, what you may be picking up on this week is that you're able to understand someone else's past experience better than they can. And with this gift, you'll be able to help the other person make sense out of their past. This is great news if you're a therapist or a healer or a doctor or a coach or in some kind of profession where this is an asset. And so, the question that really stood out for reflection this week, and as a reminder, you can grab all the reflection questions for this week by signing up for my email list at diamonddripconsulting.com/blog. But the question that really stood out for me was, what thoughts do I have when I receive an idea or inspiration? How does it feel to let go of figuring out the how I'm going to make my idea a reality? And this is something that I've really had to work on because I have a completely open ajna. And so, one of the sayings that my mentor said to me when we were in session was to think of all of the ideas like balloons floating through. And so many of us will try to grab as many balloons as we can and bring them down and try to make something work with them. But she said something that was really, really critical for me, which was only pull down the ones that really ignite your fire, ignite your soul. Like, as an example, if all of the balloons are floating and they're all these different colors, and you notice that there's a really shiny blue one that just grabs your attention, pull that one down. See how that one fits. And as long as, right, depending on your energy type, for me, I'm a generator. So for me, it's a line for me to pull down one of those idea balloons, the nice shiny blue ones, and then to kind of just ride out my wave and sit with it and see how the universe is going to bring me things, people, synergies in ads or whatever I'm scrolling through social media, whatever is going to get me that ability to respond to that idea so that it can become a reality. I don't always have to figure out the exact how of it all. As a matter of fact, as generators, we burn ourselves out a lot of the time trying to figure out the how of it all. How are we going to initiate? How are we going to go out there and get it versus waiting for the signs and synchronicities to line up so that when it's time, because not every idea we're supposed to act on right away, but when it's time for us to take action, we can. So that was the reflection question that really stood out for me this week with our sun gate. And our earth gate, we have the gate of openness. And so when you have access to this gift of this gate, you experience this magnetic, natural charm. You become more graceful and sociable when you're in the high wave, of course. This gate lies in our solar plexus, which we know there's a wave of emotion there. And so when you experience the shadow frequencies of this gate, you may become more antisocial. You may have fears of inadequacy and become more closed off because you don't want anyone to see you in that vulnerable, inadequate state. And I think that it's super important to understand that having access to the gift of this gate can give you a natural ability to empower others with your words through the depth of your emotions. So again, if you're in one of those professions where this empowering gift is going to help you, this is high time for this. So you may also feel more pressure to express your feelings during this time. But I will say a word of caution to the repressive shadow of this gate's expression. Or is this? I think this is the reactive. So being unable to control your emotional reactions and displaying destructive behaviors towards others. So Richard Rudd, the founder of Gene Keys, does a great job of identifying this in his contemplation of Gene Key / Gate 22. And so that is I just don't want my alarm to go off here. I'm just going to turn that off. So that is the shadow of dishonor into the gift of graciousness. And at its highest frequency is grace. And he states that this dishonor shadow, it sometimes can have this negative connotation, obviously. And he does a really great job of saying that we dishonor ourselves when we make ourselves the victim in situations. We always have the ability to shift our perspective and take back sovereignty over our life. And to that point, one of the reflection questions stood out glaringly. Where am I denying my passion in life? Where have I settled for less than what I want because I'm afraid I can't get what I want? It stood out for me because this one goes personally. This had been happening in my business for longer than I like to admit. I would reduce rates, overextend my time because I was trying to prove my worth, etc. And so one of the things, like going to answering this question, one of the things that I'm passionate about is helping people step into the fullest, most authentic version of themselves, because I use these exact tools to do just that. I love getting people those aha moments where they discover that a belief that has been holding them back and keeping them stuck for years wasn't even theirs to begin with. It was something that was programmed because their family said so, or their friends told them so, or the biggest one, society said. And with the new awareness that we're able to cultivate, they can make conscious change in their lives to transform those old thought patterns, to heal those old wounds, to shed the limitations that might be holding them back. But even with the love that I have, the passion that I have, the value that I know that I provide, I would mold and morph my products because I was afraid that if I stood confidently in my value, people would say no. But even I had to accept and see that that was limiting me, limiting my full potential. And so I really love these reflection questions that come with each one of these gates as we contemplate how this energy shows up for us. And so this transit with gate 47 and gate 22, we stepped into today, actually. I'm really glad the last 2 weeks I got on here the day that we stepped into this energy, because the earlier I can get you this information, the better. And we're going to be experiencing both of these until the 14th, so until Saturday. So unfortunately, my streak will probably end then, because I'll be at a networking event and I probably won't go live with the transit from that until Monday. But having said that, you can grab the full list of questions and get some more insight into these gates by signing up for the blog on diamonddripconsulting.com. So I love getting to do these transit reports because I get to know what's going on in the energy ecosystem, but then I also get to share that knowledge and hopefully change someone's perspective with the information and insights that I'm able to shed on why they might be feeling these different ways. So until the next transit report, which will likely be on Monday, I'll see you then.